Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Ora karuna swarupaya Radha Krishna prestayate. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Ora karuna swarupaya Radha Krishna prestayate. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana 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 Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama 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 Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namaste, Adho Krishna. So all of us here in this material world, we're looking for a platform or refuge wherein we can be protected. We can be protected from experiencing pain, experiencing getting hurt, either emotionally, mentally, or physically, and we are having doubts in our mind and uncertainty whom we should follow, whom we should listen, who will guide us. Because when you come to this world, so much is being offered to us. Just like when you go to a fiesta here in the Philippines, there is jubilation in preparation for an event, and all those who are engaging in livelihood, business, goes there to sell their stuffs. Not only that, performers, artists, and poets come to deliver message. But in a sense, although we show a facade of making it that we got our act together, but we know deep in our heart, we are very uncertain whom to follow, whom to take shelter. How can we be in a situation where we are very secured with our life, to be protected, to be sheltered, to experience a relationship that is eternal and fulfilling, because we are eternal. After understanding our true nature, we know that we need to love and serve. Now, where can we direct that love? And how can it also be amiable in a way wherein we relate to our brothers, to our wife, to our children? How can it be in a very amiable way that is very fulfilling? So our instructing spiritual master, who is none different from God, Krishna, he gives us advice, whom to listen, whom to follow. Because all of us in this material world, we are limited, we're not self-sufficient, and not only that, we cannot give an absolute advice and guide and be an authority because of our limitation. Number one, all of us, our senses are imperfect. Number two, our senses are limited. And not only that, we have the tendency to cheat. So Saint Prabhupada is telling us, he's talking to his dear friend, the king, Maharaj Nimi. My dear king, please know for certain that in the material world there is no happiness. It is simply a mistake to think that there is happiness here, because this place is full of nothing but miserable condition. Any person who is seriously desirous of achieving real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. So you have seen martial arts competition. Yeah? They meet and they bow down, you know. They bow down. But when they bow down, they're aware that they should not be off guard, because the person whom they're bowing down might hit them. They bow down. Then they look and they do a duel competition. It's also like this in boxing. You know, when they meet, but they're aware of the situation that this person will hurt me or will defeat me. All of us here, we're very worried whom to trust, whom to give our life. And we are advised to seek out a bona fide spiritual master who is the representative of God. The reason is described here in the nectar of devotion, why we can take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who is our eternal friend, whom we can give our life. All of us were really very defensive. And the only person whom we should be giving our life is God. Because a lot of individuals here are trying to pose as someone who can guide us. But there are frailties in mankind. And we can see that if I give my life, I follow someone, and this person exploit me, or leave me, or hurt me, and he will not be there to protect me, then I'm lost. That's why we're very defensive. And not only that, we try to seek out someone whom we can take shelter, whom we can give our life. That is why Lord Krishna, God Himself, our eternal friend who cares and loves for us eternally, gives us advice. And he tells us, find a bona fide spiritual master. The reason, I'll read here, the state of consciousness, the meditation, the world of the spiritual master who are pure loving servant of God. They have no material consideration. After reading here the qualification, we can be guided whom to follow, whom to listen. It's not someone, who is appointed, who has so many followers. He has a lot of followers. But the character, what he's teaching, his lifestyle, is he a teacher by example? When he teach about God, about loving God, we should be very careful because we will be in a very precarious situation and very dangerous situation. We can be exploited. We can get hurt. We can waste this human form of life, this opportunity to really appreciate the gift of God, His embrace, His love. If we follow someone who is not the representative of God. So I'll read here the qualification. The purport is that one should not accept a spiritual master, someone who is a fool number one. Who is a fool number one? Someone who's ignorant, who thinks he's the body. And not only that, he thinks he can become God. And he does not know God. And also a fool number one is an atheist who teaches there is no God, I cannot see God, so he does not exist. But what I is saying is that he's all-knowing and God does not exist. But in reality, he's posing as God. He sees everything. There's no God. He's a hypocrite who has no direction according to scriptural injunction, who does not follow scriptures, whose character is doubtful. It's doubtful. It's like when you deal with someone who is not the representative of God. The reason we are very careful, because when you relate to someone, you offer your life, you become defenseless. And that person, if that person is someone who is contaminated with the material disease or material conditioning, then it's like you're trying to play with the lion. Oh, the lion his face is so nice, he looks at you teary-eyed, and his mouth he opens and you put your head inside. Immediately, That's why we should be very careful. Who has not conquered the influence of the 6 gratifying agents? The 6 agents of sense gratification are the tongue, the genitals, the belly and anger, the mind and words. So to see or to check or to give our life and follow someone is a very tall order whom we should be following. Because this qualification will protect us. Because if someone is in bodily identification, definitely he sees us as an object to consume, to manipulate and exploit, to use. We want to surrender to someone, to God, but if this person is not the representative of God, what happened? He's dependent upon us with our tithing so he can survive. Live a life of amenities, That's what we can see. You look at the life of Lord Jesus Christ. Did Jesus Christ build churches? When he travels, does he have a lot of carts with all food and amenities so he can experience comfort in life? No. And what do the so-called preachers tells us? God made this world for our enjoyment. They are not able to see that the enjoyment of the soul, is your loving relationship with God. And these so-called leaders who are teaching contrary to the teachings of Jesus, they're materialists. You should be very careful. Anyone who has practiced controlling these six is permitted to make disciples all over the world. To accept such a spiritual master is the crucial point for advancement in spiritual life. One who is fortunate enough to come under the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master is sure to traverse the path of spiritual salvation without any doubt. So, the crux is this. The bottom line. We ask ourselves, do I want to have a relationship with the Supreme Person? With God? Am I wanting to do His will? And I'm sincere enough to follow Him, to give my life? And do I pray, please, let me know who is your representative? You should ask this within ourselves. Not only that, it is God Himself who shows Himself to us, even for a moment. And how does it happen? When we come in contact with this pure loving servant, who is transcendental to all this material consideration. That's why it's the crux, or if we are on the crossroad to decide what to do, that to be situated in our long-lost, eternal, loving relationship with God, whom will we follow? So there is a qualification of someone who should we be following. We should not be in ignorance. We should be with wisdom. That is why the bona fide spiritual master gives us guidance so we can make the correct choice that will protect us. Not this sectarian thing, I belong to this group, I surrender to the temple, to the church, I follow this person because everybody is telling that this person is a representative of God. He may be or he may not be. But there is a way to find God Himself. So when Lord Krsna tells us, one must seek out a bona fide spiritual master, these are the qualifications of the bona fide spiritual master. So you should be very careful. Look, those individuals who follow Jim Jones, you know Jim Jones? During the 70s, he's a great, he has a lot of followers. You know what happened? He killed all his followers, poisoned them. In Guyana, they set up a setup there wherein everybody's enticed to go there. A heavenly place where they will start the kingdom of God. And they did not check the character of this person. He does not know God. He's an impersonalist who thinks that he's God. And not only that, he's above board. What did he do during that time? He engaged in so many heinous activities. Having sex with children, male or female. And one day, he decided to poison all his disciples with, what's that juice we drink? Kool-Aid. So they have this, have you seen all what's the name? Those the one they cook with, the big kawa. What's that in English? The wok we have. There's this wok, and then all of his followers who are so fanatic were given instruction that all of his followers be lining them with all their children. They have to drink Kool-Aid with cyanide. And they took the poison and they died. 600 plus of them. So put yourself in this situation. If you follow someone who is a materialist, then he sees you as an object to consume. Just like after understanding our identity, that, wow, the reason I am unhappy, because I'm trying to find happiness through the senses, and I'm motivated by lust, and that love that I have has been covered by lust, and I cannot see what love is. I cannot experience it. So I see this world as an object to consume through my senses. So that's what happened. You follow a materialist, a demon, then you're in for a ride. You go to hell with him. Maybe you'll be the first one because you'll get executed. So I'll read here to all of you, to all of us. So how we can be guided? What is the meditation? What is the heart, the focus of the spiritual master? So I'll read here the meditation, the focus of Lord Chaitanya. It is about the pastimes of the gopis in Vrindavan, the cowherd girls in Vrindavan. They're very simple cowherd girls. So when Lord Krishna came to this planet 5,000 years ago, he brought here the spiritual world, Vrindavan. So we have this opportunity to listen. What is the meditation, the focus of the pure loving servant of God that is transcendental to this miserable world, that can protect us. The living entity, all of us, in a truer sense, we're seeking for gentleness, for kindness, for sweetness, for an amiable relationship, for someone to embrace. And the process in Kali Yuga is the Maha Mantra chanting of the holy names. And we can enter the world of the pure loving servant of God if we receive God's gift. One time, anyway, it's only 2 pages that I have to read. Yeah. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya is not here. No. I'll just read the pastimes of the gopis. So I'd like to recap something. For we're all struggling to find shelter. And you can check in yourselves, what is your meditation? What are you focusing? What are your goals in life? All of us here. What are your goals? What are your worries? What are your anticipation? Meaning, what you really want. Anticipating for the dream you want, that you have not yet achieved. And it's based upon a longing for a stable world of relationship. Based on relationship, not just material things. Relationship that can be eternal. And I want that. To have this loving relationship. But it seems every move I do falls far short from achieving that. I give my life, my heart to someone, reveal my mind. That's why relationship with God is revealing one's mind to God, one's heart. You don't reveal your mind to anyone. Because when you reveal your heart, your mind to anyone, you're open. You have no defense. We should be very defensive. Not afraid or fanatic na, we should not associate with people who are in bodily identification. No. We should be with wisdom. Just like when a person goes to the arena to fight this martial arts tournament, when he goes there, when he bows down, he does not look at the ground. He looks at the face, the arms, the movement of the person in front of him, because that person gonna beat him to pulp. So it's to defend himself. So when you are in this material world, everybody here wants to play Lord. So a materialist is someone who sees this world as a place, a big supermarket for his consumption. He sees living entities as, for his consumption, for his senses. You can notice that in all the songs, love songs, supposedly contaminated love songs. Yeah? What are their meditation? It's about that material form. So here is another world, the meditation of the pure loving servant of God. The gopis feeling separation. So all of us, we're feeling separation from joy and happiness from the person who loves us eternally and we can be with him. Krishna, Govinda. But we must have wisdom and knowledge, and that wisdom must come from God himself. The gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not satisfied simply with the rasa dance at night. They wanted to associate with him and enjoy his company during the daytime also. When Krishna went to the forest, we discovered boyfriends and cows. The gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with him. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy his company to strong feelings of separation. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of Goswamis. When we are not in physical contact with Krishna, we can associate with him like the gopis, through feeling of separation. Krishna's transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage are all identical with him. There are 9 different kinds of devotional service. Devotional service to Krishna in feeling of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfectional level, to the level of the gopis. So we can analyze now the feeling of separation. Are we feeling separation from the security we are anticipating? The green pasture of the deathbed, or the stability, to be stable in this death world, the planet of death, to be with people, sheltered with individuals who are themselves gonna leave us. So we can check, and now we can make a choice. We can be directed where to put our love. And we are advised here that there is no difference between God and his holy names. Everything that is connected with the pleasure of God, the glorification of God, is inseparable from him. That's why when we become purified from chanting the holy names of God, God himself purifies us. We begin to see everything, our life. We see ourselves can be an instrument to glorify God, and God becomes very pleased. So our life begins to be centered around glorifying the person we love, which is contradictory to material life. In this world, everybody wants to be glorified. Just look at the basketball court there. When there's a basketball, Pedrito holding the ball, yeah? And every family members are there. Pedrito Anuncio, holding the ball, and everybody, palakpakan yung buong pamilya, And they identify, and he shoots the ball, and he gets a point, So everybody wants to experience being glorified. But it's not really fulfilling. Everybody wants to become number one. But you may be number one in this teeny, weeny Kibawe or Zimbabwe. You think you're the brightest, you're the most beautiful, that you have been Miss Kiuray or Miss, Kisawa. And then you go to the city and you find out, ultimo ka lang pala. You're the last. And there are others who are more qualified than you, So it's a painful experience in this world. It's not stable. It's stated by Srinivas Acharya, prayers to the six Goswami, that they left the material opulence of the government service and princely status life and went to Vrindavan, where they lived just like ordinary mendicants, begging from door to door. But they were so much enriched with the gopis' feeling of separation, and they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was at Jagad at Puri, he was in the role of Radharani, feeling separation of Krishna. Those who are in the disciplic succession of Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya should also feel separation of Krishna. Worship his transcendental form and discuss his transcendental teachings, his pastimes, his qualities, his entourage, and his association. The spiritual master should enrich the devotees to the highest perfection, feeling constant separation while engaged in the service of the Lord in the perfection of Krishna consciousness. So the spiritual master is a teacher by example. He's loving Krishna and he's able to teach us. We can become apprentice. We become his followers and loving servant. We can become attached to him, appreciate his kindness, his love. We become attached to the care he gives us. And Krishna is very pleased. And when we serve the spiritual master, because the spiritual master is so much loved by Lord Krishna, Krishna takes note of that. He protects us. He gives us protection by giving us more activities wherein we can be relating to him, in loving him. That we can appreciate when we make progress in our relationship with God. So we can now understand that when Lord Jesus Christ came here 2,000 years ago, and he tells when he preached, if you see me, you'll see the one who sent me. If you reject me, the Father who sent me will reject you. It's the law of love. So if we receive this gift, Krishna's love and kindness, God himself, the holy names, being taught by Lord Chaitanya, then we can appreciate how much we have been loved, we are being cared eternally. But because of material contamination, we are not able to see that love. That's why when you come to the chanting, you serve, you struggle, austerity, sacrifice, it's really hard, And then after sometimes you are not experiencing, happiness because we have been so much contaminated. We are so much fruitive workers. Whatever we do, when we do something, what do I get back? I scratch your back? You should scratch my back. I give you something? What can you give me? Not only that, we follow the dictates of the mind and the desire with an offer of the fruits of our action. We have become fruitive worker. And then when we come in contact with the science, with the devotee of God, with God, we have become fruitive worker. We are not able to experience that serving itself is very fulfilling because that is inseparable from us to experience rendering loving service. And then we come to this conclusion. I chant, I bow, I cook, and it's so hard for 14 or 20 years, 50 years. What have I gotten from all this struggle? Then you live a wretched life, and that is your doom because we did not follow the path that is given to us by God. We did not learn that there's one thing that is inseparable from us, the sweetness of rendering loving service. To love, because we have become so selfish. We become so self-centered. When we talk about love, it's about us. When we tell somebody, I love you, in this material world, it's not that I love you, I want you. I want to eat you, to consume you. For my senses. But that's reality. You see, beauty is in the eyes of the beholden. Definitely the cockroach won't love you, or the termites won't love you. But as a human being, conditioned, thinking that beauty is in the material form, it's conditional. For example, somebody who is a beauty queen, everybody, wow, I want her. Yeah? What if she meets an accident? And she comes now, her legs is cut off, no more teeth. It will be a feeling, wow, where is my love? Yeah. Where is my love? And she comes with a wheelchair, I'm here. No. So it's contaminated. You understand? Not only you're in pain because of anticipation. You anticipate, give me happiness, give me happiness. And it's gone because the body is made of material nature. And that person has karma. That's the point I wanted to express. It's not the false teaching that we're suffering here because Adam and Eve, the first creature, ate the apple. That's not true. There are laws of karma. As you sow, you shall reap. It's not that these two individuals committed mistake and we're all suffering. You understand? If, for example, Brian commits crime and we're here, diba? He does something. So all of us will suffer the same fate that he will experience, he will be praising. That's not true. There's kasabihan, you pull your own tail. No? Yeah.
So it's not true that they're saying kaya na impregnate yung daughter kasi yung father babaero.
Son. No, that's not true. It's because we cannot. That's why one qualification of a bona fide spiritual master, he's master of these senses. He's not servant of his genitals. Yeah? Because this is urge. You know the reason we engage in so many sensual activities because we are not fulfilled within. We're an angry person and our anger is focused upon experiencing a release through the senses. You want taste. You want to taste this chili taste of, you know, what that when they put this advertisement, you know, that really it's like tongue, your saliva's drooling when you see that, and when you smell it, you know, the more your saliva will drool, and they're jogging, you know, jogging, and then they smell that, and all of them run, not because they're running there on their own, but because their senses are directing them to eat that. I don't know what's that, you know. You understand? Even here in Kibawe, you know, you smell, oh, there's fishbowl outside, you know, and your tongue, you know. Immediately the mind will tell you, wow, the chili sauce and everything. When I go out, how much money do I have? And the anticipation, I'm gonna eat that at lunchtime. But there's a problem. You're worried. What if all the grade school and the high school finish all the food there? When I go out, there's no more fishbowl. Yeah? When you go out, it's all gone. And the guy is already packing up. Next time, Mom, come early. This is the world we live in, you know. Anyway, let's read again the meditation, because that's what I'm really wanting to point out. It's just I'm just, you know, last one. The gopis used to discuss Krishna amongst themselves, and talks were as follows. My dear friend, one gopi said, do you know that when Krishna lies on the ground, he rests on his left elbow, and his head rests on his left hand? He moves his attractive eyebrows while playing his flute, and his delicate fingers, and the sound he produces creates such
a nice atmosphere that the denizens of the heavenly planets who travel on space with their wives and beloved stop their airplanes, for they are stunned by the vibration of the flute. The wives of the demigods who are seated in the plains then become very much ashamed of their singing and musical qualification. Not only that, but they become afflicted with conjugal love, and their hair and tightened dress immediately loosen. So we'll be continuing the meditation of the gopis. So anyways, we can be reading it while we're discussing the science that is being taught to us by our spiritual master. So the whole gist or the whole focus I want to tell is that we can know God. We can love God. We can have a relationship that is pure, wherein we can take shelter of God, the supreme controller. But we must know more about Him, although on a limited basis. But we can understand that the supreme person is the cause of all causes. Not only He's the cause of all causes, He's our eternal friend. And He is always with us. So the more we become purified, the more we see through our eyes all these material things here. The sun, we can see the plants, the space, the living entities. We begin to remember our eternal home. And we can now see that we are in a place that is temporary. And we are so much engrossed and unhappy and in anxiety. But we should not lose hope, because Krishna is always eternally with us. He's just by your side. Just like there's a tree, there's two birds. You, the person in this machine, and the Paramatma or the Lord within the heart. He's just there watching us, waiting for us to turn our face to Him. But our face is focused upon the fruits of the tree and all what's in the forest. So now, after experiencing the pain, that's why we must understand the reality of this world. That there's nothing here. It's a hard world. And the reason we should be focusing our life, because the living entity is gentle by nature. He's loving by nature. He's happy by nature. He's joyful by nature. But when we are not in harmony with what is transcendental, our eternal relationship with God, and not appreciating the kindness, the love of our spiritual master, the representative of God, and not taking advantage how we can relate to God in loving devotion. It's a science, that when you love someone whom Krishna loves so much, you don't see the spiritual master as a person, as what we previously in our limited understanding, that the spiritual master is someone who is just white light with an aura, or the angels with wings. No, it's not like that anymore. And not only that, it's not the meditation of trying to find a very stable comfort wherein there's no suffering. No. It will now be an activity of the heart wherein we are longing for someone to love. And now it's completely sheltered and directed absolutely by this world that is transcendental, the world of pure devotional service, to remind us where we should be in the kingdom of God, rendering loving service to the Supreme Person. So if we become purified by the holy names, by Krishna Himself, the Supreme Purifier, we have a different view now of our situation. We begin to see that we're being loved for so long, eternally. We begin to see that everything that's here belongs to someone we love, that it can be used to have an amiable, close relationship with Him. That's why the ninth process of devotional service, the hearing, listening. We can use our ear, the sound that can be close with our heart and Krishna. The chanting of the holy names, the glorification of God. We begin to glorify His kindness, His care, His love, the sweetness of Lord Krishna. And then we meditate upon that like the meditation of the gopis and Lord Chaitanya, exemplified by Lord Chaitanya. We're invited to enter that world. So now it's a choice we can make. And this process is not an endeavor with our power, but rather we must understand how we can be in harmony, in parallel, that Krishna protects us. Because He wants us to love Him. So all what we have to do is embrace Him. So we can see how we fall far short. And we can see what separates us with Him. And now we make effort to chant, Krishna, 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 please help me, protect me. Then we are now we are gliding now to our true transcendental nature under the embrace of Lord Krishna, sweet Lord Krishna. And if we begin to chant, we begin to appreciate that actually Krishna is taking care of us. But because of our perverted materialistic consciousness, God has become our nemesis, our enemy. Because we want to play God. Everything that is connected with what is sweet, rendering loving service. In material consciousness, in contamination, we see it as painful. We don't see it as sweet. Huh? Look at Bali Maharaj. When he was told by Sukra Acharya, if you give him 3 steps of your land, he's gonna take everything. You'll be lost. You'll be with nothing. And what did Bali Maharaj tell his spiritual master? It doesn't matter. Anyway, all the things that are here will be taken away from us sooner or later. What's the pain? What's the, why cling to something that will be taken away? So look at us now. You're so afraid. If I chant, I'll lose something. That's why sometimes, because of our Christian upbringing, when a child begins to chant, the parents become so much worried and insecure. They're taking my son. They're taking my daughter. And it gives them hopelessness and a feeling of having lost something. But they are not able to see that the child or the son, the daughter, who is now under the shelter of God, will be their salvation, will be their shelter, because Krishna loves their daughter, their son, who have given his life in purity, rendering loving service. Then naturally, although Krishna loves us, he takes notice and loves and takes shelter of the person whom we are relating to. That's why in spiritual life, marriage, loving someone can be eternal in loving devotional service connected with Krishna. But the materialistic concept that is being taught to us in this material world, what is that, Michalila Dasi? When you marry, and what's that? You pledge allegiance like a Cub Scout. Huh? In sickness, in pain, in health, till death do us apart. And then the person, okay, seal your death, kiss one another. No, that's not what we are taught to. We should appreciate the value, the fortune we have. Now it's up to you. No? Will you, somebody's giving you, a billionaire giving you all his wealth, and you just tell, I just want 1 centavo. Is Krishna telling me, embrace me, love me, surrender to me, I'll protect you? No. I just want 1 centavo. So you begin to appreciate that the body you have, the time is Krishna's love for you. So if you take that opportunity to use your time to connect your heart, your love with Krishna, then you can be here in this material world and be loving Krishna. So the false idea that a saintly person, you become saintly when you die, you graduate. You can be graduating now already. You don't need to take the test. What's that when you don't need to take the test? What do they? You're exempted already. Because you have bypassed death. Because your heart is connected with what is eternally connected with you. The supreme life, the supreme love, Krishna. So that is your shelter. So, why is it that when you meet someone, our spiritual master, he's alone. But it seems, I can take shelter of him because he has everything. He has Krishna. Why will we follow Jesus Christ's teaching to love the Father? He seems walking, they put him on the cross, but we don't know. But Krishna, the Father, is his backer, the supreme controller. So if we just simply follow him, we are protected. But the key is to give our life, our heart. So we must become free from this selfish material contamination and be in harmony with the sweetness and gentleness of embracing Lord Krishna through the chanting of the holy names. Haribol Namaste.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Krsna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Narayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Narayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Narayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Kabine Gora Karuna Swarupada Hare Krishna Prestaya Terji